of ghost? Is it the soul of someone who has passed, or is it merely our imagination that has been intensified by myths and legends? Or maybe it's someone who left this realm with unfinished business. On today's episode, I will share paranormal encounters and evidence alongside a very special Halloween investigation in hopes of finding answers to what lurks in the shadows, followed by a live musical performance by the Slow Attack. Are you scared? You should be. A few months ago, I was asked to investigate a house that was recently purchased by a friend. They said that it was on the market for a while, and even the real estate agents after a certain point refused to go inside the house because of the haunting. During the investigation, I definitely felt that there was something in this house. There was a very strong presence in the far back room, and the attic made me feel very uncomfortable. I decided to take a few quick shots in the far back room, and that's when I captured a very unusual light anomaly. I captured a series of these photos, and this was the only photo that had this light anomaly in it.
In the second shot, you can almost see like a blue portal type shape. And then the very next photo that I took, it disappeared. I then noticed a light orb in the top corner. I took many shots throughout the rest of the home, and the back room was the only one where I captured multiple orbs, and there were many. Now, yes, it could be dust, but I do think it was a little odd. As soon as I approached the staircase, I got a very strong feeling of sadness, followed by the same light anomaly that I captured downstairs. It was coming from behind the banister in the attic. Following this, I captured orbs almost coming down the staircase.
I, of course, did a cleansing of the location at the end, and as far as I know, the activity has slowed down. This next EVP was taken at a farmhouse in the country. The owners of the home stated they had been experiencing very weird things around the farm. Water would turn on by itself, the lights would come on in the barn without anyone being there, and here's the intelligent response captured from inside the barn.
Hello. Are any spirits out there? Are you angry? Right. You want to be.
This voice was actually really creepy. It sounded like whoever this male spirit was, they definitely didn't want them to be there. I travel a lot for work, which means I have to fly regularly. So the last flight that I had to take for work, I remembered looking out the window and wondering, why I've never seen anything out of the ordinary flying in the sky. 5 minutes later, as I was staring at the clouds, I saw a very unusual looking thin black object floating above the clouds. What was really weird about this object was that it seemed to move on axis very rapidly, but it also stayed stationary at the same time. It went from being horizontal to completely vertical in a matter of seconds. Here's the clip.
You can see the black object floating vertically on the left side of the screen. It took me a second to actually focus in on it because it was so far away, and of course I'm in a plane. I then saw the object change direction, and from what I can tell, it was not a plane. What was interesting about this was that you can see the clouds moving by as this object is stationary. If this were a plane, you would be able to clearly see the elevation change between the black object and the horizon, but it seemed to just float above the clouds. I tried to film as long as I could before it completely vanished. This was the first shot of the recording, and you can see the black object pointing to the right. It then appears to level out and face the other direction. Now, I'm not saying that this is an alien spacecraft necessarily, but it definitely was unidentified. Pretty weird if you ask me.
Make sure that you always look into the sky, or you just might miss something unexplained. Last year, I received a call from an acquaintance regarding some weird things that had been going on in her home. She, of course, wanted me to come and investigate. I knew nothing about the location or what was happening at the property. I just knew that they were being affected by something very dark. On my way to the property, I kept hearing the name Abigail. I don't know the meaning of this, but I wrote it down anyway just to share with the owners. Once I arrived, I felt, like I'd walked into a very heavy, dark fog. The whole property felt very dark and ominous despite the cottage-style design and all the welcoming signs. We were definitely greeted, when we arrived by the homeowners and suddenly mentioned a young girl by the name of Abigail that lives there. She was the one being affected by this dark entity. I told them about the name that I had picked up on, and, that was a sign that they really, really needed help. We started our investigation and captured multiple demonic names come through, all at the same time on multiple different Ovilus devices. I also felt a very strong energy around, this mirror at the end of the main hallway. It felt as though it was some sort of doorway. When I mentioned this to the owners, they said that, that was the only thing that was left in this house when they moved in, and they just never took it down. I then decided to do an EVP session downstairs, and I captured a growl and a breath right next to my handheld camera. So here's that clip. To manipulate that, there's enough energy between the battery and the light. After the investigation, we did a cleansing of the home, and we told them to immediately remove that mirror from the home. As far as I know, the activity completely stopped the moment they removed that from the house. Coming up next, our paranormal investigation of a 100-year-old church that still stands here today. Get ready to be scared.
In a quiet neighborhood in Chattanooga, Tennessee, lies a church with a very mysterious past. The original structure is thought to have been built in the late 1800s, but due to a massive fire in the city, most public records were destroyed. In the late 1900s, the church was home to Pentecostal congregations that believed in faith healing, speaking in tongues, and snake handling. This belief was that God could communicate through them and protect them from harm if they handle snakes and drink poison. This ritual began in 1910 in Chattanooga by Pastor George Hensley, who said he was commanded by God to take up serpents. Could this be a location that was home to these types of rituals? In the late 60s, the church was purchased by a man who had a dark history of his own. He began living at this property and was involved in many illegal activities during his time here. The owner passed away inside the church, and when the paramedics arrived, they couldn't reach him due to the state of the building. Religious rituals, crime, and death created a dark and ominous location that I couldn't wait to investigate. We started the investigation downstairs in the basement with a stationary camera in the upstairs music room, 2 cameras in the old chapel, and a full spectrum camera in the basement. Upon starting our investigation, we captured a loud bang followed by a light anomaly floating from Coleson's chest. While we were in the basement, our night vision cameras in the old chapel captured numerous EVPs and things moving. We captured multiple EVPs of a woman or child singing and humming. Could this be a member of the congregation singing hymns or a spirit of someone left behind? We also captured a very strange light anomaly floating from the right side of the screen, moving up and back down in front of the camera. After this, you can hear a click somewhere in the room, followed by another light anomaly on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Then you can see a very fast anomaly shoot from the bottom of the screen towards the stage. We then decided to leave the basement and move to the old chapel to try and make communication with our REM pod and Ovilus device. Coleson went upstairs to get set up and immediately captured the REM pod going off and filmed it on his phone because we had the handheld cameras.
It just beeped the whole time we've been here, and it hasn't gone off. Can you do that again? Can you touch that red light? Reach out and use my energy and touch that antenna. Yeah, just like that. You're getting closer. We can tell you're here. It's been blinking.
What?
It blinked 3 times, yeah. The green light went off.
Can you do that again?
I was just like, I know it's gonna do it.
Use our energy. That's great.
Yes.
At this time, we decided to open up our SLS camera and captured a stick figure standing next to the REM pod while it was going off. Throughout the entire chapel, we captured multiple stick figures, but after the investigation, we found that the SLS footage had been corrupted and we lost everything.
That's great.
Thank you. Do you like staying here and working? Are you glad we're here? Can you see us?
You can clearly hear me talking about how I'm seeing a stick figure being mapped out next to the device.
Can you try to touch it again? I can see someone over there while it's going off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you working?
You want us to leave here?
Can you touch the device again? Try to make all the lights light up. You were doing great. Set the table again. It's like hiding behind the banisters. Can you touch it again, please?
Oh.
Yeah, it came back right when I did that.
Hello.
We started to receive intelligent responses on our Ovilus that corresponded with the history of the location.
I mean, it's spiking. Wings fall. Famous. Were you famous?
Is that a yes?
2 greens. You were famous. Ugh, I have chills. What were you famous for? Waters, him, sense.
Does this mean that this response could have been from the pastor of this church?
Did you live here? Site. Like, this is the site. So you lived here. This was your home? How did you die? Or do you know that you're dead? Skip. Can we touch the light again?
Disc.
That is a disc.
Axe.
Axe. Maze. Dan?
Money.
Dan was after money?
Average. Knife.
Wow.
Didn't it say something about poverty too earlier?
Knife, waves, hunting. Wow, there's a lot. Again. History. Funeral.
Jeez.
Pattern.
Intent.
Are you looking for something?
Was this a message about the illegal activities that took place here? Were we speaking to the previous owner that died in this location?
Scared.
Chart.
Was that you? Was that you? There was just a noise back there.
After multiple intelligent responses, we decided to move to the stage area and use our SLS camera while conducting an EVP session. What we captured was incredible. We captured a very clear growl while there was a tall stick figure that was mapped out on the SLS standing next to Coleson on the stage. You can then hear me saying that it fell to the ground and started crawling on the floor next to him.
Can you do that again? Thank you for showing yourself. Did something happen to you here? Did you exist in our physical realm before?
Can you appear on this camera? Stand next to Coleson. Whoa. Look at that, there's 2. It's like crawling, really tall. Can you touch Colson's
Can you
hand?
touch my hand?
We were devastated to find out that we had no visual evidence of this. While we were upstairs in the chapel, we had a light grid set up in the venue section of the church downstairs. You can clearly hear the light grid turning off and on multiple times by itself. After the investigation, I checked the battery life of the grid and it was fully charged. When we returned to the basement, I decided to take a couple of photographs on my camera only to find very interesting light anomalies above the full spectrum camera that mysteriously died after we had just replaced the battery.
So the brand new battery is totally dead. I just put a new battery in. So that's good. Let's see how much we actually captured.
I also took photos in the venue area of the church and captured a very bright light anomaly floating above one of the pews from the original church. Could this be an entity sitting on this church pew? This place was definitely a creepy place to investigate. The evidence that we captured is incredible. From growls to voices to a woman singing, even spirit communication through the Ovilus and REM pod devices. You could feel the energy of the spirits here, and I cannot wait to go back. Oh, and P.S., this is the home of the witching hour.
Stay tuned for a special musical performance by The Slow Attack.
In the rise, in the light of fire,
Thank you for joining me in Raising the Dead on this Halloween episode of The Witching Hour with Carrie. Have a dreadful night.